Hi students, happy Monday. Here's Math for Monday. First question, we're going to find the greatest common factor of 5 and 10. So you're going to look for something that goes into both of these. Think your math facts. So we know that 5 goes into 5 one time, and 5 goes into 10 two times. And there's nothing else that we can put in here that'll go evenly, that'll give us any different of an answer. So, 5 is your greatest common factor. Let's multiply some decimals. So, 14.5. Make sure you leave lots of space in between your numbers so you don't get confused. Don't worry about the decimal points at this point. Just go ahead and put the bigger number on top. Ignore the decimal places. So you've got 8 times 5 is 40. 8 times 4 is 32, plus 4 is 36. 8 times 1 is 8. 1. Okay. 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, go ahead and cross these out or erase them. And then you've got 0, 0, 0. Add them together. 6, 1, 1. Now you're going to count all the spaces to the right of the decimal point. So you've got 1 here and 1 here. Add them together. 1 plus 1 is 2. So you're going to start at the end of your whole number, and you're going to come over 1, 2. So your total is 11.6. Okay, find the product. When we hear product, that's our big clue about multiplication. So it's big 5, whole 5 times 10 twelfths. Okay? Let's rewrite this as a fraction, and then I'm just going to rewrite the whole thing so it's nice and neat. 5 times 10 is 50. 1 times 12 is 12. Now, your numerator is larger than your denominator, so that means you're going to at least pull out at least one big one. So now we have to divide 12 into 50. You might have to take a guess. So I'm going to try 4. That's pretty close, okay? So it's going to go in 4 times, subtract. Remainder 2. 2 becomes your new numerator. Your denominator stays the same. Now think, can you reduce this 2 twelfths? You can. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 12 divided by 2 is 6. Total should be 4 and 1/6. Okay, next. Division. 0.32 divided by 8/100. Okay, now you know that you cannot have a decimal point in your divisor. So whatever we do to the outside, we're going to do to the inside. So if I have to move 2 places here, I'm going to move 2 places here. And then I'm going to bring the decimal point straight up. So I'm going to rewrite this so I don't confuse myself. I'm going to drop these 2 zeros. I don't need them anymore. So 8 divided by 32. 8 goes into 32 4 times. You don't need this decimal point. It's just a big 4. Okay. Now we're going to compare decimals, so we're going to look at place value. So 4 and 6/100, and then 4 and 6 thousandths. So let's start to compare. Start with your largest place value first. We've got a 4 in the ones place, a 4 in the ones place. We've got a 0 in the tenths place and a 0 in the tenths place. Now we've got a 6 in the hundredths and a 0 in the hundredths. So 6 is more than 0, so that's going to be your larger number. Here we're going to compare some fractions. You can simply use the butterfly method, or you can find a common denominator. The butterfly method tends to be a little bit easier. So 5 times 8 is 40, and 8 times 4 is 40. That means these are equivalent fractions. Equivalent meaning equal. Now we're going to simplify the fraction. I'm going to show you a trick. First of all, you can divide each of these by 100, or 10, you'll just have to keep going. So if we divide each of these by 100, we're going to get 1/2. The other way you can look at this is you can cancel out some zeros. So that 0 cancels, that 0 cancels. That 0 cancels, that 0 cancels. And you're left with 1/2. Same way. Get there 2 different ways. Okay, now we're going to simplify the fraction 5/20ths, or reduce. Simplify and reduce, same thing. You know that anytime something ends in a 5 or a 0, that you're going to be able to put 5 into it. So if we divide each of these by 5, 5 goes into 5 one time, 5 goes into 20 4 times. Easy peasy. Now we're going to simplify another fraction. So, same thing, okay? You can divide this by 10. 10 goes into 30 3 times. 10 goes into 100 10 times. Or you can cancel out your zeros. That 0 cancels, that 0 cancels. There's no more zeros to cancel. So 3/10 ends up being your final simplified answer. Now we're going to find the sum of 2 fractions. And sum means addition. So 2/5 plus 5/7. And you're going to have to find a common denominator. And the easiest way to find common denominators with 5 is just to multiply it by the reciprocal, meaning multiply these by each other. So 5 times 7, whatever we do to the bottom, we do to the top. So 2 times 7 is going to give me 14/35. And then we turn a 7 into a 35 by multiplying it by 5. And whatever we do to the bottom, we do to the top, as always. 5 times 5 is 25. 7 times 5 is 35. Now we've got these common denominators. Now all we have to do is add across the top. Don't do it in your head. Write it out. In your head is when mistakes get made. So we've got 39/35. Now, 39 is larger than the denominator. The numerator is larger than the denominator. So that tells you that you're going to be able to simplify by pulling out at least one large one. So 35 goes into 39 one time. Subtract. Okay, here's your big 1. Your remainder becomes your new numerator. Your denominator stays as your divisor. So your answer is 1 and 4/35. You can think, does anything go into these? This is even, this is not even. This ends in a 5, but this doesn't end in a 5. 3 doesn't go into either of these. So you pretty much know that's going to be your answer. Okay, now we're going to find the difference, which is subtraction. Okay. Now, you're going to have to find a common denominator. Easiest thing always to do, you might have to reduce at the end, is just multiply it by the reciprocal. So 10 times 7, whatever we do to the bottom, we do to the top. And then, 7 times 10. Whatever we do to the bottom, we do to the top. 9 times 7 is 63. 10 times 7 is 70. Minus 50 over 70. Now that the denominators are the same, now we can just subtract across the top. Remember, your denominator in addition and subtraction just stays the same. Just once they're the same, keep them the same. Now 63 minus 50. So think to yourself, 13 is a huge clue because 13 doesn't really have any factors. It's a prime number. So if 13 can't go evenly into 70, you know that that is your final reduced answer. We're asked now to find the quotient for our last problem. Remember, quotient is going to tell you division. So this has a big 6 divided by 10 twelfths. The first thing you want to do is turn your whole number into a fraction, and you always do that by just putting a 1 underneath it. Okay? So we have 6 ones divided by 10 twelfths, and we're going to change the symbol, and we're going to flip that fraction. So keep, change, flip. And you've got 6 times 12, which is 72. 1 times 10 is 10. Now you're going to have to reduce. So 72 divided by 10. Well, I know that 10 times 7 is 70, leaving me with 2. 2 becomes my new numerator. 10 stays as the denominator, but I can still reduce 2 tenths because both those numbers are even, which lets me know I'm going to be able to at least divide them by 2. So 7 and 1/5. Final answer. Okay, that's Monday math. See you Tuesday.